Two strangers sit across from each other in a television studio. Between them sits a jackpot that can reach above £100,000.
They have to decide to split or steal.
If they both choose split, they share the money 50-50. If one chooses steal while the other chooses split, the stealer takes everything. If they both choose steal, both walk away with nothing. Imagine you're sitting in that chair. You don't know this person. You'll probably never see them again. What would you do? From the perspective of classical economics, the answer is simple, obvious even. Here's the logic. If your opponent steals, you get nothing either way. It doesn't matter what you do. So choosing stealing wins. If your opponent splits, you can either take half the pot choosing split or take all of it by stealing. Stealing wins again. In other words, no matter what they do, you're better off stealing. In game theory, this is called the dominant strategy. When both players follow this logic, they land in a Nash equilibrium, named after the mathematician John Nash. Once you're both choosing steal, just you changing your mind alone won't result in a better outcome. This show is a real-life example of the famous thought experiment, the prisoner's dilemma. And it points to a deeply uncomfortable truth. When two self-interested people follow perfectly rational logic, they can end up destroying the value they both wanted. For a long time, social scientists assumed that we are Homo economicus, or shortly, econs. We were viewed as perfectly rational payoff maximizers, especially when the stakes are high. If humans actually behaved this way, this show would end the same way every single time. Both steal, game over. But that is not what happens. Economist Richard Thaler saw something others missed. This wasn't just a TV show. It was a large-scale behavioral experiment with real money and real consequences. After analyzing hundreds of episodes, the data revealed something shocking. The individual split rate was about 53%. People cooperated more than half the time. The textbook says that number should be close to zero. But it isn't. Now look at the size of the jackpot. When the price was small, say around £2,000, people cooperated at an unusually high rate, around 60 to 70% of the time. At that level, the money feels like peanuts. The logic stops being mathematical and becomes social. No one wants to look like a greedy villain on national television for £2,000. The reputational cost of stealing outweighed the financial gain. Now increase the jackpot towards £100,000. Classical theory predicts cooperation should collapse. It did drop, but it stabilized right back at 48%. Even with life-changing money on the line, people still split about half the time. There were other patterns. It turns out men under 30 are the most likely to steal, splitting less than 30% of the time. But as men get older, they become increasingly cooperative. And men over 50 are actually the most cooperative group of all, splitting between 60 and 80% of the time. Women, interestingly, don't follow this pattern. Their cooperation rates remain stable regardless of age. And here is a striking detail. Simply saying, "I will split," increased the probability of cooperation by 30%. Even though everyone knows talk is cheap, communication fundamentally changes our behavior. If we aren't purely selfish econs, what's actually driving us? To understand that, let's move to another famous game, the ultimatum game. There are two players, and one randomly chosen player receives £10 and proposes how to split it. If the second player accepts, both keep the money. If they reject it, both get nothing. An econ would offer £1 and the responder would accept it because £1 is better than nothing. But that is not what happens. Human beings routinely reject offers below 20 or 30%. We would rather walk away with nothing than let someone win with an unfair deal. They found that unfair offers activate the anterior insula. That is the same part of the brain that processes physical disgust. It's the region that lights up when you smell spoiled milk or rotten meat. We don't calculate that a deal is unfair. We feel that it's gross. Evolution hardwired us to punish stealers, even at a personal cost. When participants knew they were playing against a human being, the medial prefrontal cortex and the tempoparietal junction lit up. These areas handle what psychologists call theory of mind, our ability to read another person's thoughts, feelings, and intentions. However, when people were told they were playing against a computer, those regions went quiet. Rejection rates dropped. Fairness isn't just about the numbers. It is evaluated in social and intentional terms. So, how do we survive in a world of stealers? Robert Axelrod found the answer in a famous computer tournament. He invited people to submit strategies to play the prisoner's dilemma against each other, 200 times in a row. You can think of it like the golden ball, but here steal is defect, split is cooperate. Hundreds of strategies competed, from purely aggressive, defecting all the time no matter what, to too nice, cooperating all the time no matter what. The winning strategy was called tit for tat, and it was beautifully simple. It begins by cooperating, and then simply doing whatever your opponent did the last round. If you cooperate, it cooperates. If you defect, it defects. Axelrod identified 4 properties that made the strategy so powerful. It was nice, never the first to betray. Provocable, it retailed immediately when betrayed. Forgiving, returned to cooperation as soon as the opponent did. And clear, so predictable that opponents quickly learn what to expect from it. Astonishingly, tit for tat never actually won a single head-to-head match by points, but it won the overall tournament by sustaining mutual cooperation while protecting itself from exploitation. But there's a complication. You have to account for the real world. Axelrod's tournament assumed perfect memory and no mistakes. The real world? It's messy. It's noisy. 2 strict tit-for-tat players can fall into endless retaliation if a single error occurs. That's why researchers introduced the generous tit-for-tat. It behaves the same way, but occasionally forgives a defection with a small probability. Around 10% forgiveness is enough to prevent spirals of revenge. In a messy world, stable cooperation requires a small dose of deliberate grace. As we said, there were 200 rounds. Does repetition change everything? Yes, because it introduces what game theorists call the shadow of the future. When you know you'll interact with someone again, betrayal today damages tomorrow. The threat of future retaliation makes short-term defection less attractive, and the promise of future cooperation makes trust worth building. Axelrod wanted to test something deeper. Not just which strategy wins, but whether cooperation can actually evolve in the real world. So he set up an evolutionary environment, an ecological simulation. He dumped all the different strategies into one giant pool. But this time, the points weren't just score, they were reproductive fitness. After each 200 round, or let's call it generation, the strategies that racked up the most points multiplied, getting more copies in the next round. Generation after generation, the simulation ran. Imagine a world of pure stealers. Everyone cheats, everyone betrays. When 2 defectors meet, they are stuck getting the minimum punishment points every single round. The environment is miserable. If you drop one single tit-for-tat player into this population, they just get crushed. But what if we drop a cluster of tit-for-tat players into the game? When these nice players bump into the defector, they get cheated once, learn their lesson, and stop cooperating. They lose a little bit. But when they bump into each other, they cooperate, and mutual cooperation pays out massive points. Because the reward of working together is so much higher than the miserable scores the defectors are getting with each other. Axelrod calculated the tipping point. If just 5% of tit-for-tat players' interactions are with another tit-for-tat player, that is enough of a massive point boost to push their average score higher than the defectors. So, a small group of cooperators can invade a world of bullies and eventually take over. But a group of bullies cannot invade a world of cooperators, because bullies eventually destroy each other. The math was stark. Niceness is an evolutionary, stable strategy. This mathematical strategy doesn't only exist in computer simulations. It organically appears in human history. In World War I, at the Western Front, British and German soldiers were stuck facing each other in the same sections for months. Because they were locked in this situation day after day, they were basically playing a real-life, repeated prisoner's dilemma. And, over time, a live and let live system naturally evolved. Soldiers would deliberately shoot to miss, or artillery units would shell the exact same patch of empty dirt at the exact same time every single day. It was enough activity to satisfy commanders, but calibrated to kill no one. When a new unit arrived at the front, the veterans on the other side would even fire warning shots as if to say, "We know you have to do this, but aim away from us and we'll do the same." They had no formal agreement, they just had predictability and timing. High commands eventually caught on and deliberately rotated units to break the pattern. They intuitively followed what Axelrod would later prove mathematically. The shadow of the future is the enemy of war. Now return to golden balls. From the narrow lens of a one-shot game, splitting looks irrational. From the lens of evolutionary history, it is the most logical thing we can do. Humans evolved in small groups with repeated interaction, where reputation followed you with social memory. Emotions like guilt, shame, anger, and fairness are not glitches. They are enforcement mechanisms for long-term cooperation. We are optimized for long-term social survival. Cooperation is not naive. It is an adaptive strategy. So, the next time you face a version of this dilemma, the most mathematically rigorous, dominant, and rational thing you can possibly do is to be nice. Don't be the first to betray. Be provocable. Don't let people walk all over you. Be forgiving. And, in a messy world, extend a little grace for honest mistakes. Now I want to hear from you. Would you choose split or steal? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this journey with Janus Talks, hit subscribe for more insights into the hidden nature of the world. Thanks for watching.